And this is the review of the Transformers Warforged Cybertron Trilogy Generation Select G2 Ramjet. So this is my first conehead out of the Warforged Cybertron line. I know they've released the regular coneheads before. They're not really that easy to get here in Melbourne. But I'm happy with G2 Ramjet. Hopefully they'll release Thrust and the Dirge in G2 colors or something down the line, so I can complete those three at least. But like I said, I'm happy with how this one turned out. So first off, he comes in your the Generation Select box. He is a figure number Warforged Cybertron Generation Select 24. He is a Voyager class figure. Now if you bought Generation Select figure before, you know what you're getting is just this plain brown box, which is kind of cool. Makes it feel a little bit more special. Inside is just the figure in twisty ties, so nothing special about that. You have the Ramjet Instructions, which is this is my first time looking at it. It's clear-cut instructions. If you've gotten any Warforged Cybertron Trilogy figure before, it's pretty much the same, very clear set of instructions. So yeah, as a seeker, he doesn't really come with a lot of accessories, and I wouldn't even consider this accessories, more part of his body. But he does come with this null rays, which is basically, is it the same? Let me see. Yeah, it's the same as what we've gotten with the regular seeker. So seeker null rays. So this is the one that came with Skywarp. So it's exact same sculpt, except this one has a black tip, which makes it a little bit more cooler looking. So yeah, and it pegs really well on the shoulders, which is my first worry about this figure. A lot of the seekers that we've gotten before had the issue with how loose the pegs connect to the shoulders. This one doesn't have that issue. Actually, overall, I think in terms of QC, this figure is quite perfect. All of the joints are quite tight, maybe a little bit too tight the first time, which is, I guess, a happy problem, right? So yeah, taking a closer look at Ramjet. I love the colors on this guy. I mean, the teal, the purple, the black, they all work very well. I don't know what it is about it, but yeah, it does work really well. In a nice contrast with let's go through the other figures later on. A nice contrast with the other black and purple seekers that we've gotten. Taking a closer look at the face, I like the black paint on the face. I don't know what it is, but I really like how it turned out. The scowl looks really well, and the yellow eyes. If anything, I think the head is a little bit too small, or maybe I'm just used to the classic cone heads where the head is actually the nose cone of the airplane, so it had to be a little bit too big. But this one I think is a bit too small. But it's not too bad. The insides of the intakes are painted purple. It's a lot of paint on this one, so as you'd expect with a Generation Select figure. So the chest piece is teal. These are all molded in the color that they need to be. Silver here, teal. From the side, really clean, and from the back. So the other thing I liked with the cone heads is there's no wing kibble at the back. So that means he gets full motion of the arms. All the wing kibble is in the feet. And this one is no exception. So I really like how that is implemented. So yeah, really nicely done figure. Now just to compare him with a few other black and purple seekers that we've gotten. Here he is beside our Generations Earthrise Skywarp, as well as our Netflix Skylink. So I really like how these three look together. I might just display them together just because of how nice they look. Comparing, I don't know if you've gotten cone heads before, but just comparing these two figures, because they are essentially the same mold, right? The main difference being the head. Just because this is a cone head, his head needs to be a cone. This one is a traditional seeker head, and there's a lot of remolding on the feet. So the front part of the so this front part is a remold there. As you can see, this one has a higher knee pad. On the side, this doesn't seem to be a remold, but actually there is a remold on this part as well, just because it's now, the wing is now connected there. So this one doesn't have a provision for that. So yeah. And of course the wing, so it's the same attachment point, that one, except here the whole wing is attached. Here is only the tip of the wing that's needed to complete the look. So yeah, other than that, they're the exact same sculpt, but just by the change of the colors and those minor changes, they look like distinct robots, at least distinct enough. No, so really nicely done. Now in terms of articulation for Ramjet, it's basically the same articulation you'll get from a seeker. The head is on a ball joint, so it does look up quite a bit. I like how much it can look up. It doesn't look down a lot. The head will turn around all the way. The arms are the same, except you don't have any hindrance on the wing, which is nice. Arm goes all the way out, swivel, single joint on the elbow, nothing on the wrist. I wish he had, and this is a problem with the other seeker molds as well, I wish he had butterfly joints so that you can actually shoot the null rays with the null rays on top. You know, suppose him shooting the runways, null rays with the null rays on top. As it is, you can only shoot with the null ray on the side, which is not too bad, but not ideal. Nothing on the waist, just because of the sculpt. The skirt does move forward, allowing your leg to move all the way forward. Not much back, hindered by the butt flap. Can go all the way to the side, swivel at the top. There is a knee bend that goes 90 degrees, and he does have ankle pivot, and the toe articulation and the heel articulation is more for transformation than anything else. So yeah, it's what you'd expect from the seeker mode, a little bit less restricted because of the lack of the wing, but still not as good as your siege seeker mode in terms of articulation. Now to transform Ramjet is very similar to how you transform your other seekers. So if you've seen that, there's a few changes, but not much. First off, what do we want to do first? I like to lift this part, allowing me to open up the chest, and that's probably the hardest part of the transformation anyway. You just flip the nose cone and peg that in, similar to your traditional seeker mode. Extend this, rotate, and position it as such at the back. Now the arms, now this joint is a bit tight, so first time I did it, it was really hard to transform him back to robot mode. But yeah, same as the traditional seeker, you just flip that in, close that in. I wouldn't recommend closing it all the way, just because of how hard it is to open up again, because of how tight the joints are. It doesn't hinder the look or the transformation anyway. Up to you. Do the same on the other side. I mean, you can, and I suspect it will get loose as you transform him, but you know, first time is really problematic for me. Okay, what's not allowing me to flip? So you need to flip this forward. Why is it not? There you go. Flip it forward, and then just peg that in all the way in. A lot traditional seeker. Now the feet, you just open that up. Always flip the toes and the heels first. Open that up. Might as well peg these together. As you can see, pegs and holes. Peg the feet together and accordion that in. Again, similar to Starscream a la your other Seekers. Now this one, I'd recommend you just flip this down first and then flip this down. Just because of how tight these joints are, it's easier to just do that first. Again, this just might be early figure transformation tightness. Might get looser as you transform him, but you know, just a few things I've learned transforming the few times. Close that up. Now these ones you can attach there, or there. I think the instructions ask you to attach it here, which is not too bad. So let's just do that. But up to you where you want to attach it. And there you go. There you got G2 Ramjet in his jet mode. Now, taking a closer look at Ramjet in his jet mode, I really like how this guy turned out. I mean, look at it. It's really sleek. Maybe the only issue I had with this figure was, you know, my son is a really big airplane fan, and I could show him any airplane and tell me what model it is to the exact year. And he was like, I showed him this one. I said, what kind of airplane is this, son? He's like, I don't know. It's a weird combination of SR-22 and F-14, and it's like he has intakes at the front and there's this shuttle thrusters at the back. And he's right. I mean, Ramjet and the other cone heads, they really weren't based on any traditional airplanes at that time. They were more these were what their interpretation of what an airplane would look in 2015, I guess. So he isn't really based on any jet per se. But yeah, this one I really like how it looks, even if it's like a imaginary airplane. And the G2 colors, so if you know G2, right, they're really known for these garish combinations of colors. This one, I don't know, I just like the combination of black, purple, and teal. Even the Ramjet name there doesn't really bug me as much as I thought it would. So if you know G2, they'd have their names plastered on their out mode. This one, I really like how it turned out. Everything's really clean. It's nothing much to complain. So if anything, if I were to nitpick, maybe that slightly different color of teal here on this painted part and this actual teal plastic. But even that is, you know, nitpicking. Really nice and really sleek looking. Of course, underneath you'd see a folded up robot, but that's no more a problem of the mold than anything else. Speaking of which, let me just compare it with your Skywarp. So yeah, they're distinct jets. So as you can see, all of the legs, this part, they're all the same except for, of course, the paint. Where it differs is the wings and the tail. Underneath, you know, they're the exact same folded up robot anyway. And I like how this guy is predominantly like a black robot that turned into a predominantly purple jet. So really nice. Now, since we're doing that comparison, let me bring in Hotlink as well, just to complete the three. And let me just tilt the camera a little bit down. Again, I like having these three together. I don't know what it is, but yeah, they just really look nice, and they look, you know, distinct. Even if, you know, there's some similarities between these two, they look distinct enough that having these three side by side, Hotlink doesn't look out of place to me. You know, they look different enough. So yeah, really nicely done, and I'm really happy with how this guy turned out. final thoughts on G2 Ramjet. Now, mold wise, I think he's really great. This is my first experience with the Ramjet mold. I like the improvements that the Ramjet mode brought into the overall Seeker mode. You know, the better articulation because of the lack of the wings and all that. I like the redesign. In terms of the color combinations, I know I should hate this because of the 90s garish color scheme that G2 brings, but I guess somehow the color combination works with Ramjet. As I've said, he looks nice beside Skywarp and Hotlink here, and they look really nice together in a shelf. If there's anything that will be stopping you from buying this, if you're not really, you know, one thing is if you're not really interested in G2, then that's one reason. Another reason might be you already have the G1 Ramjet and you don't really want to double dip on the mold. Although that said, you know, if you're buying Seekers, you can't really not double dip on the mold anyway. But yeah, aside from that, if you're even remotely interested in this figure, I'd say get it. I don't see any, you know, QC issues, any imperfections. He's, you know, as close to a perfect figure that Hasbro has given us, that we can get, I guess. So yeah, let me know what you think of G2 Ramjet. Is he as good as I think he is, or, you know, am I exaggerating? Let me know in the comments below. But otherwise, that has been the review. If you like that review, leave a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. This has been Grimtrigger, and this has been the awesome G2 Ramjet from Generation Select. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.